Hello, good evening. Good evening, everybody. It looks like we've got a great bunch already here. Welcome to the channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host, and this is Hillbilly Crime. Mommy's not feeling very good, so I don't know if she's going to join us tonight or not, but any of you out there that pray, I'm sure she'd appreciate it. All right, so we all got a good laugh earlier at, at the city council meeting that we watched. Butterfly Kisses says, I'm still laughing about the video today. If any of you missed the chat, you have to go watch it later. Get you a soda and some popcorn and watch the show. Dave Clifton, I've watched a lot of it 3 times. All of it on the Hatfields last night. Great stuff. I think our city has a city attorney, not one for the mayor and one for the council. I know, it's a little odd, ain't it? Jessica, hey you. Hello. Welcome to Hillbilly Crime. Let's see. Stacy, hello everybody. My dog Rex. Hello everybody. Season and Sprout. Hey sweet friends. Howdy Hillbilly ABD. I love it. I love it. I love it. Howdy Hillbilly and Chickabilly viewers. That's right. Okay, so we had a really good time watching that thing today, and did any of it surprise any of you guys? I had a couple people fuss at me for talking so much. Sorry, but I thought it was just ridiculous. I had a lot of things I wanted to say about that. If you let people filibuster like that, like what you saw on there, they'll talk and talk and talk and talk, and they'll overtalk everybody in the room. There's their opinions, the only one that matters. They're the only one that can be right because they sure could never be wrong. Well, I'm wrong all the time. But yes, Jessica says, I loved every minute of it. It's fun when you interrupt. I mean, they was just foolish. That lady, she didn't have any of that planned out, you could tell. And she I don't know if, because I've seen both of it. I've seen the people that are all out here about writing grants. And then you've got other people, that they've never done it before, so they don't know. We had a homeless shelter here in Letcher County before. It was in Neon. It was in Fleming Neon. And I don't know if it was run through the sheriff's department or who it was, but I think, and if any of you all know different, let me know. But I think that homeless shelter was started with people who had great intentions. I don't know about you all, but I've always heard that saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Have y'all ever heard that? Did I say it right? I ain't said that in a long time, but we can have good intentions. So anyway, I think people started it with good intentions. I think it was some grant money that started it, but it didn't last very long. And it was shut down because they didn't have the money to fund it. And from what I gathered, it was just right up the road from where we used to live. So we lived right there close to it. But from what I gathered from other people that I'd heard from other people, there was like the same people would stay there all the time. So, you really only had. So, what's that become? Does that become an apartment building? I don't know. But it was shut down because they didn't have the funding to continue it. And when you don't have, I don't know, maybe you don't have the right people in the right positions. A lot of times I think that happens. Somebody that doesn't have very good leadership ability, doesn't have very good bedside manner, can't really communicate very well with people. They don't, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should just stop while I'm ahead. Turn the page, says heck to the no. You have to comment. That's the fun, hearing you giving them what fors. Well, I had somebody comment the other day and was like, well, there's good stuff in Letcher County too. You don't have to talk about all the bad. It's the crime channel. That's what we cover on this channel, is crime. It's not a tourism channel. If we was doing that, absolutely. But, you kind of got to understand the context, right? It's a crime channel. We want to see what everybody's doing that's bad. And we have so much fun talking about it. Oh, yeah, if you missed it, you go back and watch it, honey. It was funny. Dave Clifton, I'm yet to see Elizabeth talk too much. I keep tuning in for more. Well, good. Things like that need very detailed plans in how to transition those people and set them up for future. That's right. And you kind of have to have case managers, because in a place like that, you need to have very defined and roles, right? You need counselor. I don't know how much you need counselors, but I know that the one that I worked at before, you had case managers and counselors, and you had like the director, the shelter director, and there were several different people who had very defined roles. And you had a security officer. You can't really have a homeless shelter without having some kind of proper security. That's really dangerous. And you have to have like a house mom or something, or whoever, man, woman, it don't matter. But there's just who's going to feed these people. You've got like the Hope Center in Lexington. That's a men's homeless shelter in Lexington, but they kick them out like at 7:00 in the morning, and they have to go away, and then they cannot come back until like 7:00 in the evening. So that means they're out on the street. That's why you see them out all day, because they're not allowed to be at the shelter during the day. They have to leave. They have to go out. They don't care where you go, but you can't stay. There's Sweet Tater. Hi, Mommy. Glad.
Hi, Eddie. How are you?
Good. We was talking about homeless shelters.
Oh.
So, that homeless shelter that was just down the road from where you live several years ago, up towards Goose Creek, or it was in Goose Creek, right at the head of mouth of Goose Creek.
I didn't. Yeah, I remember it. You got it. I got it now.
It got shut down. Do you remember any details about it?
No, It was like apartments, I think.
It was. That's what it ended up kind of being. That's what I thought. Okay, so there was a lady at the city council meeting. You'll have to go back and watch it in a London city council meeting, and she was asking for funding for her nonprofit that she just started to try and house some homeless people that was in the area. But she didn't have a very good plan laid out. And I was talking about, when you have a homeless shelter like that, it takes a lot to keep them going, because they have to, who's going to pay the power bill? You got a water bill. You have to feed them.
I didn't know that it got shut down, truthfully.
Oh, well, I don't know if it got shut down. I don't think it got shut down. I think they just couldn't afford to keep it going.
I don't know what it became. I think it was part of homes, wasn't it?
That's a good question. Does anybody have any information about this that we don't know? We'll have to check that out. I'll try and dig around some on it. But yes, it was a ruckus. Okay, so last night I told you guys about 2 more cases because we looked at the missing children last night. So we're going to look at those 2 cases that I told you about last night. We're going to look at the grandma who both 2 of her grandchildren passed away in her possession or custody or whatever you want to call it. She was babysitting and she let both of them pass away. And then we're going to talk about this other little girl who, her and her mommy, all of them, her whole family got lured by a predator. And so we're going to look at these 2. Okay. So this first one, it's Florida grandmother charged in hot car death of granddaughter less than a year after grandson drowned while in her care. 7-month-old Uriel died in 2022 after Tracy Nix said she forgot the baby was in the car. The year before, Uriel's brother died while Nix was babysitting. And this article was published April 1st, 2023. They just had her trial. So we're going to look at a couple videos of the daughter who was the mother of these babies. She's going to testify. And so we're going to watch a little bit of the trial. It says a Florida woman is demanding prison time for her own mother after her 2 young children died less than a year apart while allegedly in their grandmother's care. One in a hot car death and the other in an accidental drowning. The grandmother, 65-year-old Tracy Nix, was arrested and charged in November 2022 with aggravated manslaughter and leaving a child unsupervised in a motor vehicle, court records show. The charges are in connection with the November 1st, 2022 death of 7-month-old Uriel Shock. Authorities said Nix left excuse me. Authorities said Nix left Uriel in her vehicle outside her Wachalua home for several hours after returning from lunch. Nix said she forgot the child was in the car, according to the court documents. How do you forget a little girl? Uriel's father, Drew Shock, said in a tearful interview this week with local station WFTS. Nix told authorities that her daughter, Kayla Shock, asked her to watch Uriel while she was at a hair appointment, the documents state. Nix said she went to a friend's house that morning and then left to pick up Uriel. She then drove to a restaurant for lunch with her friends. They left the restaurant around 1:40 p.m. Security footage showed Nix put her granddaughter in a rear car seat and drive away. authorities said in the documents. Nix said she drove about 10 minutes to her home, parked the car, and went inside to talk to her dog and practice the piano. She told the Hardy County Sheriff's Office that it was not like I was rushing in the house to do anything. I just forgot, according to the documents. The court filing says that Nix was waiting for her older grandson to arrive so they could go out to dinner. After 4:30 p.m., she took 2 cups of tea out to her vehicle for her and her grandson, and then drove the vehicle to her backyard. Authorities said Nix's husband was in the backyard and the two talked for about 10 minutes. That baby was in the back seat that whole time. When the grandson arrived, Nick said all of a sudden it came across her head that Uriel was still in the car. Nix's husband immediately pulled the baby out and began CPR while someone called 911. Could you all imagine? Uriel was pronounced dead at the scene. The sheriff's office said temperatures that day in Wauchula reached 90 degrees. An autopsy showed no signs of injuries. Her death was ruled a homicide. Drew Schock told WFTS that he remembers being in the parking lot outside the hospital trying to grasp what just happened, and that it actually just happened twice in our lifetime. In December of 2021, the couple's 16-month-old son, Ezra, died, also while in Nix's care. Court records state that Nix was babysitting the little boy when she fell asleep. The child wandered outside and drowned in a pond near her home. She was not charged in the incident. Kayla told the news station that she was 6 months pregnant with Uriel at the time her son died. The couple also has an older child. She said she initially did not trust her mother to watch her children after Ezra's death, but believed in second chances. We were anxious, but I loved my mother, and I am a daughter that wanted her mom, she said through tears. When I was told that Ezra's death was an accident, some sliver child part of me thought, okay, good. I get to keep this mom, this grandmother. Kayla said she knew her mother was taking Uriel to lunch with her friends. Hours later, a sheriff's deputy came to Kayla's house and delivered the heartbreaking news. 2 children now who are no longer here, Drew said. Somebody has to answer for that. She needs to go to prison, Kayla told the news station. As her daughter, it kills me to say it. As their mother, I demand it. Authorities said Nix's negligence resulted in the death of both children. Her attorney did not immediately respond to a request for comment. And then the pretrial. Oh my gosh. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Look her. Allegedly Lisa, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly, crimes, lies, and alibis. I love that. I love that. I've watched a few of the select board meetings for Canton. Wow. Oh, wow.
Did this happen in Ohio?
No.
Was it Florida?
No, I think this was down in Florida somewhere. We're getting ready to watch this other one. I was just behind in my comments there. Janine says, saw the end of this trial. So very sad. Yeah, we're going to see what happens. I had a coworker that had left her toddler at a gas station when you used to go inside to pay for gas, probably in the 60s. My gosh. Those I know, those poor parents. And, you know, it's just unbelievable how much this happens. How many children are left in hot cars? It just is unbelievable to me. Okay, so this is the mother's testimony.
Good morning.
Please state your name for the record.
Kayla Nix.
And Miss Nix, where do you live?
I live in Wauchula, Florida.
And how long have you lived there for?
I was born and raised there. I left after high school and then came back probably a decade later and have been back in the community since 2016.
May I ask you a few questions about your family?
Absolutely.
Who do you live with?
My husband,
And
Drew
who is
Shock.
that? I'm sorry, who is that?
Drew Shock.
Anyone else live with you?
I do have a 5.5-year-old son. His name is Asher. And then I also have a 4.5-month-old baby girl. Her name is Adriel.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And can I ask you a few questions about the rest of your family?
Absolutely.
Do you have any brothers, sisters?
I do. I have one sister. Her name is Rebecca Tucker.
And is she married?
Yes, to Jonathan Tucker.
And do they have any children?
Yes, they do. They have two, Cooper and Aiden.
And who is Noon Nix?
None Nix
None Nix,
is
I'm
my,
sorry.
yeah, that's my father.
I apologize for the
No worries.
pronunciation.
He goes by Nay, so I might refer to him as such.
And how about Tracy Nix? Who is that?
That is my mother.
And is she in the courtroom today?
She is.
Could you identify her by an article of clothing she's wearing?
Absolutely. She is wearing a dress with purple, pink, black, and white.
Thank you, ma'am. The record should reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
So reflect.
And where does she live?
She also lives in Wauchula, Florida.
Okay. And Wauchula, that's in Hardy?
Yes, Hardy County.
Now, I'm sorry about this, but I have to go back to November 1st of 2022, okay?
Okay.
All right. Can I ask you about one more person?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you know a Uriel Shock?
I did. I did. That's my daughter. Excuse me. She was born in 2022, and she was my rainbow baby that I got to have a beautiful 7 months with before I was notified that she was deceased.
Okay. And we're going to get there, man. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But she was 7 months old around November?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And so that day, November 1st of 2022, what were you doing that day, ma'am?
My husband and I own a small business in Wauchula, A1 Safari Glass. I have always been a full-time mom first before my career. And so every one of my children actually go to work with me every day that I attend work, unless they're sick.
And so did Yuri go to work with you that day?
Yes, my daughter went to work with me that day. And typically my routine was to leave at lunch so that I could get the baby home, get them fed, and then let them nap, let her nap in, her own room. So.
And I'm sorry, you called Uriel Yuri?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Yuri.
And so, well, did you follow that plan that day, or was it different?
Well, that day began out most similarly to all my other days. Get up in the morning. My daughter and I went to my office. We began the work day. I remembered I had a hair appointment, and I reached out to my mother at that point and asked if she was busy.
Let me ask you this: how did you reach out to her?
Via text.
Okay. And were you able to get a hold of your mom?
Yes, I was.
And what was the nature of that conversation you had with her?
I don't remember specifically if we actually had a phone call or if it was exclusively text message, but the question was, I have a hair appointment at this certain location, and she responded that she had a lunch with a few of her friends. Those friends are people that I've grown up with my entire life. So I certainly felt comfortable in that circumstance, allowing my daughter to go to the restaurant with my mom. That restaurant was pretty much in the same block as the hair salon that I went to. So I knew I would be nearby.
Excellent. And how long was she going to take care of her?
From pre-lunch, whatever she picked her up to go to the lunch, I probably left 20 minutes or so before she arrived at my office to pick up my daughter. And then the plan was for my husband to stop back by their house at the end of the day when he leaves our business, pick up our daughter, and come home.
And the end of the day, what's the end of the day for your business typically?
4:30 or 5.
And he was going to go where to pick her up?
To my parents' house on Kazan Road to pick her up.
So you went to your hair appointment?
I did. Yes.
And from the time that you completed your hair appointment,
Mm-hmm.
when was the next time you heard anything about your daughter?
I finished my hair appointment pretty soon. I was not a long appointment. I'd say it was about 75 minutes. And at that point, I went home to begin dinner and move the laundry and just start an evening routine that I would typically do at home with my child. So I went home expecting my husband to pick up my daughter from my parents' house.
Okay.
And the next time that I heard another thing about her was Officer David Drake outside of my home in Wauchula.
And we'll get there in a moment, if you
Okay.
don't mind.
Absolutely.
So between the time that you saw the officer and the time that you left your hair appointment, did you have any communications with your mother?
I do not believe that I did.
Okay. Now, let me back up for one moment. I apologize.
Mhm.
Does your mom have everything she needs to take care of Yuri whenever she takes her, or do you have to supply those to her?
Absolutely. I always pack her bag for the office. So she comes every day that we leave the house. She does come with a bag full of multiple supplies items. But then at her house, my sister had children and they actually lived in her home for a while. So there was a bedroom dedicated to just whatever grandchild was at the house at that time. And so she actually has a crib there, changing table, or no, not a changing table, just simply a dresser with diapers and clothing and
Okay.
all of the things.
And then on that day, did you supply your mom with anything to help take care of Yuri?
Absolutely. Yes. I sent her with a standard bag that I would pack for myself. So she would have multiple clothes, diapers, wipes, creams, food.
And does she have a car seat in her vehicle, or does one have to be put in there?
One has to be put in there.
Okay. So when she picked up Yuri that day, she would have also had to put the car seat in?
Absolutely. She typically put her seat in behind the driver's seat.
Okay.
So
dangerous, ain't it?
Anything now? Okay, you just heard me. I can't hear anything. Seems like the audio dropped off for me, but we were going to hit a break anyway. So let's do that right now. We'll get back.
Was that the officer showed up at your door?
True.
Was that, do you remember what time of day that was approximately?
my guess would be 2:30, 3 o'clock. I was not on any sort of a regimented schedule at that point. So it would have been sometime between probably 3 and
Okay.
4, I would imagine.
Now, this was a while ago?
Oh, absolutely. It's 2 years ago.
Okay. Whenever time that might have been.
Right.
Why did the officer show up at your door?
He showed up at my door to notify me that my child was deceased. That his words were, "Your baby is dead. Your daughter is dead. Your child is deceased, and we need you to come with us."
Okay.
I have to identify the body.
Okay. Where did you go, ma'am?
I got in the vehicle with the sheriff that came to get me. They did not believe that I should be driving, which I agree. And he took me to the Florida Advent Hospital in Wauchula.
Okay. And you said you had to identify Yuri?
Yes, I did.
And you saw her?
I was not with my husband in that moment. And so as soon as we found each other in that parking lot, which was sheer insanity, then we went in together to look at our daughter and identify her body.
I'm sorry we had to go through this. I have no
It's
further
okay.
questions, okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Just hold on one second, let me make a note. All right, Mr. Fletcher, please start.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you indicated that you had a hair appointment that day.
Yes, I did.
And when did you make that hair appointment?
I would typically make them at the end of my last hair appointment. So it would have been 5 or 6 weeks, but I never added to my calendar. They send a text reminder to your phone. So I was reminded of it, that text that morning.
So it was just a few hours before you were supposed to be there
Yes, sir.
when they bothered to tell you that you were supposed to be there. Didn't give you much time.
Correct. Well, I was my fault for never entering it into my calendar, but that was the text that reminded me that morning that I had not made arrangements.
Something that probably happens a lot in doctor's appointments, hair appointments, and other things.
I mean, to be frank, most of the time my children go with me pretty well everywhere. I believe that was one of the first times that I went to my hair, like did one appointment that was just a personal thing. That wasn't a doctor's appointment. That wasn't concerning one of the children.
So we'll say it was a kind of a last minute deal.
The child care plan was, yes.
And you notified your mother for the first time,
Yes.
approximately what time?
I guess would be that text would have come in 9 to maybe 10:30. So I only had a few hours.
Did you have any knowledge that your mom had a Bible study scheduled that day?
I did not know it, obviously, when I reached out to her. She might have mentioned it, although it's been 2 years. But I also could have very well taken her with me, as my daughter had, in fact, attended every other hair appointment and any appointment that I had for myself otherwise at that time. So this was the first time it was doing something for myself, not a medical appointment.
And did your mother advise you that she had this meeting?
I do not recall.
Okay. But she agreed to take the child.
She did.
All right. And she was supposed to take care of her most of the day until about 4:30?
If you call most of the day lunch to 4:30, I would say, the afternoon.
We'll say the afternoon then.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's the end of that one. That's the end of that little clip there. I don't know if I could have lost the first one and then sent the little girl over there, that I wouldn't have been on the phone with. I mean, I've got my mom right here with me, but I'd be on the phone. I think I would call you like every so long and be like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Well,
But
you don't know what kind of a memory that mother had. She could be like me and very forgetful, because I'm a very forgetful person. And you don't know what kind of medication people are on or anything like that. So, she should have been more careful who she left her children with, because that's not normal for a woman to leave a baby in the car after she's taken it out and took it into the restaurant and then put it in the car. And she brought the drinks out there and didn't even notice the baby was still there in the car. That's just, none of that just makes any sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't. It just doesn't make much sense. It's tragic. It's so
very,
tragic.
very tragic. And it's, I don't know. The child obviously didn't need to be left with her mother.
Yeah, that's such a sad. And, it sounded like this was the first time that she was going to be able to go and get a little time away from the kids, like mommy time. And all of us that are mothers or have been mothers, we know what that's like. When my two little ones were little, the only relief that I got because they were with me 24/7. The only relief that I ever got was when I went to church. And when I would go to church, I mean, listen, sometimes we showed up in our pajamas. We could barely get there, but we were there. Babies barefoot and diapers. But we were there. And I remember those days. And that church, my pastor, it was when I first found that church. And as soon as I would get there and go through the door, I could have my me time. It was like everybody in the church just took my babies and took care of them while the service was going on. And that way I could get up and sing with the praise team, and I could go up to the altar and pray. And, you know, I didn't have these two toddlers attached to my legs. And, you know, so we all know what it's like, you know, to need a little bit of mommy time. But
Well, I'm not blaming the mother. I'm just
I know.
saying there's a lot of circumstances.
I know there are. I'm not.
For two to die in the grandmother's care, there must have been something funny going on with the woman.
That's just, I mean, that is tragic that one would drown.
I mean, the odds of such a thing happening twice, I would say, are very, very great. I mean, the odds are very, very low.
Yeah. Season and Sprout says, wonder if the grandmother was evaluated for early stage dementia or a cognitive condition.
I'd say that that's a good question, that there was probably dementia there. Does it say how old she was?
It doesn't, but I have her husband right here. Let's listen to the husband.
May it please the court.
Yes, sir.
State your name for the jury, please.
None, nay, Nix.
And Mr. Nix, you're the father of Kayla Nix.
Yes, sir.
You're the father of Rebecca Tucker,
Yes.
and you're the husband of Mrs. Nix.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And obviously you remember Yuri.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How often would you and or Tracy keep Yuri?
Depending on the week, anywhere from 2 to 5 days.
Okay.
Oh,
Can you give we'll say a normal routine on how that would occur, the pickup and the delivery?
Most often would be me going to their office to pick up the child. And then I would bring her back to the house. And that's where usually Tracy would pick up.
so this was not the first time she had kept the little girl. Apparently they had been keeping her 2 to 5 times a week. So I misunderstood. I misunderstood that. This was not her first time keeping the little girl.
Would pick up from there?
Yes.
Okay. And when you would drive to pick up Yuri, what vehicle would you drive normally?
Normally was my truck,
Normally.
pickup truck. Yes.
Did you ever drive the red Lexus?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in the evening, how would she get, we'll say, redelivered to her parents?
Normally was her father, Drew, would normally come by after work.
Okay. And on occasion, did you drive the Lexus
Yes.
to either pick up or redeliver
Pickup.
the child? Okay. And when you had the mirror adjusted to the back, were you able to see the car seat from the back seat, driver's side?
No, sir, not for me.
Okay. Now you're a little taller than Tracy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell us, would Tracy be able to, from her viewpoint, from what you saw in the Lexus?
Judicial speculation. Sustained.
If you're looking out the back window from the rear view mirror, is your view going to be the same as hers if it's properly adjusted?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever, we'll say, have a situation where you got into the car and it was adjusted for Tracy?
Yes,
And y'all have some issues about that sometime?
some minor discussion.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
State, any cross?
Briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Nix, I just have a few questions for you. As far as the vehicle, the Lexus, it has windows, right?
Yes,
You can see through those windows?
yes.
No further questions.
All right, redirect.
Yes. On the day in question, could you see through those windows?
Yes,
And on the day in question, before Yuri was found in the back seat, were you near that vehicle on your lawnmower?
yes.
And could you look into the vehicle?
Not from where I was seated on the lawnmower
Okay. And why was that?
because I was located a small distance from the car at approximately the same height as the driver.
Okay. And you could not see the child?
No,
Okay. Thank you.
All right, he may be excused. Mr. Fletcher, may he be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you, Mr. Nix. State, defense, call your second witness.
It's rest, Your Honor.
Okay, let's, come to a sidebar with the court.
There's her and her husband. Bless them, Lord. Their life will never be the same.
All right, on the record,
Can't imagine.
members of the jury, we're going to take a brief recess. I've got to attend some business with the lawyers. So maybe around about 25 minutes. So please take your time and go to your cars, do what you need to do, but please be back in about 20 minutes.
All rise.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
All right, Ms. Nix, have a seat. All right, so Ms. Nix, state your name for the record.
Tracy Ann Howard Nix.
Okay, this is a criminal trial brought by the state of Florida versus Tracy Nix, CF 22-289, Hardy County. You're the defendant in this action, and you've chosen not to testify. Is that correct?
Yes,
Is that of your own free will and volition?
it's on my lawyer's judgment.
Okay, so you're relying upon your lawyer's judgment not to testify.
Correct.
And you understand you have the independent right to override that judgment and to testify. Yes or no?
Yes,
So you understand that this is your ship and you're the captain of it. And you can testify if you so choose to, but you're relying upon the advice of your attorney. You're saying not to testify.
yes,
But it's your decision to make individually.
yes,
And you're still choosing not to testify.
yes.
Based on the hesitation, I'd like to take a short conference with Mrs. Nix.
Okay, let's have a brief conference with Mrs. Nix.
Can we go outside?
You can go outside, yes.
Jeesh. man.
Just while Miss Knight's taking a seat here on her, I'll ask just for a brief housekeeping sidebar after Miss Knight testifies.
Dress?
You can just give me your city, ma'am.
Okay, Wauchula. I live in Wauchula, Florida.
How long have you lived in Wauchula?
75 years.
So a little bit of time.
This
Yes.
is the grandma's friend.
And how are you currently employed?
I'm retired.
Congratulations. What did you used to do?
I was a teacher
And
32 years.
you already got out in
It's just a few minutes long. It's less than 10 minutes long.
front of me. So did you teach a specific grade, or you teach all different types of grades?
I taught in the middle school.
So the rough
grades
age.
8, mostly, some 7th and 6th.
So the rough ages, right?
I loved it.
Okay.
I did.
Well, do you know a Tracy Nix?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know her?
My experience with Tracy has been through the church. She was joining our choir, and I had been singing in the choir for years. And she came when she was married to Nay, and there she was in choir. And so we became friends and worked together in Bible school and children's choirs and adult choir for all these years.
Did you also know a person by the name of Uriel Shock?
Only through pictures and when she would be with Tracy,
And who was Yuri?
Tracy's granddaughter.
Okay. The reason I bring that up is because I have to go back to November 1st of 2022. Do you recall that day?
Yes, sir.
Did you spend time with Miss Tracy Nix that day?
Yes, I did.
What was the first time that you spent with her?
The
Like-
first
Like
day
how did your day with her start out?
we began with our prayer meeting. We had been meeting at my home, and we would pray about a number of concerns in the community and through our church. So we would be having prayer meeting at my home.
And I know it's 2 years ago, but so when did that normally occur? What time of day?
Tuesday in the morning.
In the morning.
Mhm.
Now, was that the only time that you spent with Tracy Nix that day, or was there some additional time later on?
That day, when we concluded our prayer time, several of us decided to go eat lunch together. And so Tracy and I and Gail and Judy went to eat lunch, and we had Uriel with us.
Okay. And so where did you guys decide to eat lunch?
We ate at Beef O'Brady's.
Now, did you all go there together or separate?
We were in 2 different cars.
Who did you go to Beefs with?
I went with Judy.
And so I guess through, I'm okay at math, but I'm guessing then Gail and Tracy would have went separately.
Yes.
And you said Yuri was with you.
Well, she was with Tracy, and Gail,
Okay.
she was not with Judy and me.
Okay. Who got to Beefs first? Do you recall?
We did. Yeah, I think Judy and I got there first.
Oh, okay. And so again, then Gail and Tracy showed up sometime?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes,
Sorry, the and
that's
can
okay.
sound a lot
I
alike.
recognized it as soon as I did it.
Yes, ma'am. It's okay. And so do you recall approximately what time you guys were out there? Again, I know it was a while ago.
Well, it would have been around noon. It was lunchtime.
Sure. And so did you guys all have lunch?
Yes, we did.
And you said Yuri was with Tracy Nix.
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes,
You're fine.
I'll practice.
Yes, ma'am. And so
Classy
who was
name.
taking care of Yuri while you guys were having lunch?
Tracy.
And was she paying attention to her?
Oh, yes.
Feeding her or giving her at least something to drink, stuff like
Yes,
that?
we were all getting a kick out of her giving the child something to drink from a straw, which for a little one, you can't really do that unless you hold the liquid in the straw and kind of hold it over them and let them drink from the straw. It was cute.
And Yuri's like a baby at this time.
Oh,
right?
yes. Yes.
Were you guys paying Yuri attention?
Certainly.
How about
She's-
anybody else in that?
She's getting a lot of attention.
Sure. How about anyone else in that restaurant?
Yes. We saw some friends from church. who, of course, wanted to ooh and ah over the baby, and we spoke with them.
It's funny how a baby can become the center of attention, right?
She was.
Okay. Now, did you guys eventually leave that day after you had lunch?
Yes,
You caught yourself that time. Thank you.
I did.
And do you know when you guys left?
Well, I know that Gail had somewhere she had to be. She was picking up a child after school. So we had to leave by then. It was some before 1.
Okay, so some before 1. Okay, fair enough.
Close enough.
But you definitely had to leave before that so she could get her.
Yes, so that she could pick up the child at school.
And ma'am, are you aware of videos of your guys' lunch, right?
Yes.
And you've seen those videos?
Yes, I have.
And videos of you guys leaving also, correct?
Yes.
Okay. They're already in evidence, but I just want to show them to you again. States 1 and 2.
Hit that like button.
States
for
exhibit
me.
number 1. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That's my signature right there, and that was inside.
Okay. And beefs?
Yes, inside the restaurant.
And States exhibit 2?
And that one's in the parking lot. And yes, that's my signature there.
Okay. And these show your video at lunch and leaving, correct?
Right.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Go ahead.
I couldn't imagine being the grandma. I'm forgetful.
Morning.
Good morning.
Bad.
You indicated, I think you said some things about you and Tracy Nix at church. And did you know her through school also?
I really did not. She was not teaching at the junior high at that time. I think later on she did become employed by the junior high.
Okay. All right. And I know you talked about you were both in choir.
Yes.
Yeah. How long that has occurred?
Well, it has still been going on until some of these things have occurred. Sure.
All right. How would you describe your relationship with Tracy Nix?
We were co-workers in a lot of church activities involved with children. We worked together with Bible school. Tracy served as a principal for a couple of years, and I was one of the teachers, and Tracy did an amazing job. Then we worked together in children's choirs, which in order to prepare a musical to be presented to the whole church, we often went on a retreat so that the kids could spend time with recreation and practicing their music. And Tracy would prepare the devotions. Amazing work that she produced for those kids to do study while we were on a retreat. It happened multiple times.
You said that Tracy was the one doing the preparing.
Absolutely.
The retreat.
She did every bit of it.
And when you say retreat, how long are we
A
talking?
weekend.
A weekend.
Friday afternoon and come home Sunday afternoon.
So overnight.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We'll be covering it, Kathy.
All right. When y'all were at the restaurant, and apparently Yuri was pretty much the center of attention.
Yes, she was.
Correct. And did Tracy try to find her something to eat?
Yes. She did have a bag with her, and she was looking in there to see if there might be some formula or, something
Yep.
that the child would be expected to eat around lunchtime.
Okay. Thank you. How did Tracy feel about Yuri?
She loved her. I don't know what else to say. That's her grandmother. Of course, she loved her.
Pretty obvious.
Yes.
Okay. You'd seen her around Yuri before.
Yes. She had had Yuri with her at my home that day and taking care of her and watching her play on the floor. And it was obvious.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, y'all, that's just so sad. So, we won't watch any more of them. I'll go ahead and tell you the ending, the way that the trial went. So the jury found her not guilty on like the higher charges. I don't know if they had her charged with red rum or maybe it was second degree or something, but she was found not guilty of that. And I think she was found guilty of manslaughter. Let me check it. Let me make sure I got it right here. No, that's not what I do. Let me look here. Okay. Forgetful grandma sentence. We lost mom. She sent me a message and told me she was not feeling good. So she went to go lay down. So Tracy Nix, the forgetful grandmother in the manslaughter trial, was found not guilty of aggravated manslaughter. So that's what it was. Nix was convicted of leaving Uriel in a hot car for over 15 minutes. Nix was also responsible for the little boy, Ezra. Judge Ashley said that Nix got off easy and expected her to receive the maximum sentence of 8 years. So her at the max, she was just looking at 8 years. And I don't think that they charged her with the little boy. She was never charged with the little boy. I was going to go ahead and do this one and the other one tonight. But I ended up showing a whole lot more of this trial on this one. I know, David, 2 children gone. How is she not guilty? Well, they only had her on trial for the little girl. They didn't have her on trial for the little boy. Somebody said something about my shoulder all hunched over or something. I don't know if you're talking about if you saw my hoodie or something. I don't know. I don't think I have a hunchback. Maybe my posture is a little bit bad. I watched this trial, broke my heart, trying to steel myself for the start of Boswell tomorrow. These kid cases break me. So tomorrow I'm going to show the Boswell trial. I'm going to watch it too. And we'll watch it. I don't know what time it starts or anything. So, but I'm going to start trying to get a show in during the daytime, and our nightly show at 7. Gotta work. All right. David, too much religion, zero common sense. I just could not imagine being her. I could not imagine the guilt. Did you see it on her face? When she got up there and said she wasn't going to testify. I think she was smart. I think she listened to her attorney. I think if she would have testified, she would have risked coming across as not likable, as unlikable. I don't know if she is or not. I'm not saying that she is unlikable. I'm just saying what she did. A lot of people would be very judgy. We make judgments. And so I think she did what she should have done and not testified. So many people think, because usually an innocent person, if they're really innocent of what they're being charged with, they'll especially take it to trial, and they get up on the witness stand and they want to tell their story. They want to defend themselves. And a lot of times that's the only way you're going to be found not guilty, is if you get up there and testify. In a lot of cases, we've seen that. And I think that some people get so arrogant and they think that they're the smartest person in the room, and they think that they can talk their way out of anything. And the more they talk, the more ridiculous they sound, or the more they come across, just bad. You got 12 people on a jury. You come across bad, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So I think she did what was right. But I think that the guilt has eat her alive. I couldn't imagine. Somebody said in here that she didn't just lose her daughter that day, she also lost her mom, because they'll never be able to have a normal relationship, mother-daughter relationship ever again. No. And if it wasn't her first time, if she had been keeping that little girl 2 to 5 times a week, every week, that makes it a little bit different. Like if this would have been the first time, I think the mom would have been on the phone every 10 minutes calling her, just checking on her. But if this had been, and she probably did the very first time and thereafter. But if they had been keeping her, I'd say she'd let her guard down. She let her fences down a little bit. Man. Crystal C says, apparently this happens so much that car manufacturers put a warning in our vehicles to check the back seat. So saddening. She had stuck that baby in behind her driver's seat. So when she got out, and if she had tinted windows, I can see how she would get out and not see her back there, not pay attention. If you're not paying attention, you're not going to see something, And I'm bad not to pay attention about things sometimes. I couldn't imagine leaving my child in a hot car, though. The deaths that is just it's like I can't even tell it. They say that is one of the worst deaths anybody could ever die. Oh yeah, she's gonna beat herself up enough. I don't know how many. It said how. Does anybody know what her sentence was? Like, is she gonna have to actually spend prison time, or will she be out on probation? Let me see if I can see. What grandma's jail sentence? She may not have been sentenced yet. Was she sentenced, y'all? I don't know. The sentencing is in April. This trial just happened. This just happened like, a couple weeks ago? Not even. Yeah. And they have other children. They have and had an older child that was older than both of the ones that died. And then she had another one after that. So the sentencing isn't until April. I bet you she won't serve no time. They'll probably give her probation, which I don't think any jail time that would so, like, what's that going to do? I don't think that jail time would be worse than the punishment that she will have to live with for the rest of her life. But the daughter wanted jail time. So, they were awful disappointed at that sentence, or the not guilty. Could be what happened to Summer, but I really think Summer wandered away. Yeah, we talked about Summer the other day on Sunday. Was it on Sunday or was it last night? I don't even remember. I think it was last night. But we talked a little bit about Summer, but we'll talk more about her. We'll do as many shows on this stuff as you all want to. Y'all are the Y'all make the shows. I watched the trial and said Grandpa was at fault for little boy. The grandma said they was cutting trees where she parked and had parked somewhere else. Oh, Miss Vicky, that's awful. Just awful. Yep. Sentencing in April. Sad to say, but if you have a baby in the car, set the diaper bag in the front seat. Yep. RJ Conley, that's a great idea. I've heard several suggestions. I don't remember what they were now, but I remember hearing several suggestions like that would make you remember. My sister was babysitting her grandson, 4 months old, and lay him down where she could watch him. Checked on him and not breathing. EMTs got him breathing, but he was taken off ventilator. I'm sorry, Miss Donna. Our prayers are with you, honey. It's awful. Sometimes couples do break apart, but I did have some friends who were together until one of them passed after a stillborn. Bless them, Lord, bless them. Well, I don't know if I'd be able to forgive myself either. That's just something that would be awful. But at the same time, I could, and none of us know what we would do unless we'd be in their shoes, right? Ain't none of us can say what we would do or what we wouldn't do. But I know how much I love my mom, and I know she's getting older. She's gone now, so I can say this. She's getting older. She's almost 80 years old. If something was to have happened and my mom was guilty of something like that, it would break my freaking heart just to see the guilt and the pain that she would be going through. That would just be doubly worse, just add it on. I don't I just don't even know what to say, but it's heartbreaking. Crystal said it. So heartbreaking. Queen Olive Ruth Ann, if my twin grandbabies fell asleep in the car, my daughter sits in the car too until they wake up. There you go. Summer will always break my heart. That little girl was so cute. Summer was a beautiful little girl. She really was. Yes. Or put one shoe in the back seat. I think it was like put your briefcase, like if you carry a briefcase for work or something like that, whatever it is, put your purse in the back seat. That was what it was. Whenever you go to get in the car and you put the baby in, put your purse back there with them. So that way, whenever you get out, you're going to be going in the back to get your purse. You're not going to leave it in the car. Just imagine the friction between the grandma and the baby's mother, her daughter. Had a new mom leave the sleeping baby in the pumpkin seat and walk out after our meeting. She storms back in moments later. Baby hadn't made a peep yet. Of course, baby was safe and never even woke. I was working away at the computer and hadn't noticed yet either, baby, since baby was in the floor out of view. Yeah. I forget. I cannot tell you the brain fog that I've had for like the last 10 years. I mean, it's been bad. Like I've often wondered, what was going on. Why is my memory so bad now that I'm so much older? But Jeez, oh Pete. That was one reason why I had my bacon man put to sleep last winter. He was deaf and blind. When we lived at the other house, he had the driveway and he knew where to go. He had his little route planned, and it wouldn't matter when I put him outside. If I came back, he'd be right there. Like he walked down the driveway and he'd stay right along the edge, and then he'd turn around and he'd come back up. When we moved, we didn't have no neighbors up there, so it was fine. But when we moved down here to this little house, there's houses everywhere. And there's dogs everywhere. And there's just cars and stuff. And we didn't have a yard, or we don't have a fenced-in yard. So there were several times he got away from me because I'd take him out there and sit him down, and then I'd have to run back in for something, and I'd forget he was out there. A couple times people brought him home. I left one day and went to go get the boys from school and come back and saw him. And I felt really bad. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot him. Nothing ever happened, thank God, but I thought something's going to happen. And he was 24 years old. He had cancer. It was just bad. So I went ahead and I put him to sleep it absolutely just devastated me. And I felt so guilty. But I thought, something bad's going to happen. He's going to get run over. He's going to be attacked by another animal, or he'll get lost or stuck somewhere and starve to death. It just, all these things would go through my mind. And I thought, and I felt really bad for putting him to sleep, but somebody said, well, you did the most responsible thing because you went ahead and let him go out peacefully. What if one of these other things had happened? That wouldn't have been peaceful, and it wouldn't have been, fun for him at all, right? So I can kind of relate with that. I felt so awful that I would forget that little old man. I know when we got him, the vet judged his age at 16. And I had him all till he was 24. Yeah. He was a little Shih Tzu, deaf and blind. Oh, he was a sight, but he was my baby. I loved him. And as much as I loved him, I still forgot about him out there. So it's, ain't none of us perfect for sure. That's like 200 years old in dog years. I know. Our fur babies are like our children too. It's heartbreaking when they have to leave us. I know. And then I got this big one over here, the snoring lady. She's about 15, and it's gonna be this year probably. But she's not deaf or blind, and she's big, and she can still get around. So we'll keep her as long as we possibly can. LS. You are right, Kate. Stress can mess with your health, physical and mental. Yeah. I now have dogs in the back seat. Window down for them, air conditioner for me. Yep. Allegedly, Lisa. I had a cat that lived to be 22 years old. I was so lost when she passed. Yeah, it's hard. The kids, though, I couldn't imagine losing two babies the way that family did. All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to cut this one off here, and we'll pick up that. We'll do that other one tomorrow night by itself. Because it's a little bit longer of a video than what these clips were. and we'll show some of that trial tomorrow. So if any of you want to jump on tomorrow during the day, look for the Boswell trial, okay? All right, y'all. Well, you have a great rest of your evening. Stay blessed, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scout. Bye.